Hi there. Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Wilson, and I'm from Convergence Coaching. And I am happy to be on this HR Huddle today. My trusty partner on it and our main host, Tamara Lorzell, is working kind of half days from her cabin with terrible wireless and unable to stream. And I hope she's on a paddleboard or something right now. But Samantha Mansfield, who is a consultant on our team and one of our anchor coaches for our transformational leadership program, is here with me today. And I welcome you, Sam. Thanks for coming.
Oh, thank you. Thrilled to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you. So Samantha and I were talking about all the things that we've been thinking about and hearing from various HR professionals in our lives over the course of the last week since our last huddle. And what we came up with for today topically is we think we should talk about sort of what we're going to call emergency measures to help support and manage this fall busy season, which is well underway for our tax extension folks, for our employee benefits audit extension folks, for our ramp up of audit reporting. It's definitely a busy time, and not to mention our normal busyness with accounting, tax, and audit that we have. So we know that everybody's kind of underway right this minute, and tensions are starting to build a little bit, and people are starting to defer and say we can't do that now. And so we thought, what could HR or talent management do to support that process? So that's topic A. And then topic B, which we think is a follow-on, is as we look to spring busy season, which typically really ramps up, let's say, third week of January. What could we prepare now? What could we plan now and try to execute that would make spring less of an emergency measures and more like a more relaxed support process? So, Samantha, I am going to ask you to just start with some early ideas of some things that HR professionals might do right now to help with this August, September, October kind of crunch.
Sure. I think one of the things that struck me when we were thinking about this is the whole point of leverage. And that's not a new concept by any stretch of the imagination. But what I've certainly been running into an awful lot with the coachees that we've been talking to is that you have a number of your top talent that they think they're exhibiting compassion by bringing more of the burden onto their shoulders and not delegating down more. They're afraid to put maybe some of the extra hours that they're doing and pushing that down to some lower level teams, or maybe they fear that, you know what, the project's just too complicated and I can't push it down. And they're not thinking about, well, maybe I can give this portion of it where somebody can start to learn a portion of this client, or maybe they could start to come in on calls with me right now with this client so that they could start to help me on this project. And then that does lead to the spring where maybe they're more engaged and they're able to do even more for you. But that's one of the things I was thinking about is leverage, and the fact that so many of our top talent or your seniors or your managers are just feeling like, I can't put this burden on the rest of my team. And so they're going to burn themselves out. And I really think that's something that needs to be coached with so many in practice today.
I agree, Sam. And we see it all the time that most people suffer from a kind of not only the fear of pushing too much onto people too soon or pushing too much onto people that are already burdened, but we also have a little bit of I don't know what you want to call it, ego complex or something that says, hey, I can do it faster and better than they can. Why would I bother? And it would take me 1/3 the amount of time to do it myself than it would to teach them. And so why bother? And we know that that is a self-fulfilling nightmare because we never get people trained. We never get people ramped up. And so certainly delegation is something that should be coached and taught. And one thing that I always tell people that are afraid to burden people is ask. It's egotistical to think I know what you want.
Mhm.
How can I know what you want? And in many respects, you may be sitting there thinking, I don't get the juicy stuff. Nobody's giving me, nobody's empowering me or trusting me here. I'm smarter than this stuff they're giving me. You might have people on the edge of quitting because they don't feel challenged. And what
Exactly.
a mistake if we don't delegate to them. So, no doubt, that's definitely something. And HR professionals, what can we do? We can't force delegation, but we can remind people about it. We could put out handy tips. If you hit us up in social media, we certainly have a number of resources. Also, our blog, convergencecoaching.com/blog, is context sensitive. And you could search on the word delegate for sure, and you would get a ridiculous amount of resources because we write about it all the time. It's a critical element in our success formula and our financial formula in public accounting and consulting. So I love that one, Sam.
Well, and to your point of using some of the resources we have, we would encourage, look for our motivators blog and using that and going through just a simple exercise that should take no more than 10 minutes and talk about something that inspires and shows some hope is if you're reaching out to your teams and saying what motivates you and then give that information to the managers because to the very point you said a moment ago of do you have people that are maybe on the verge of quitting because if I'm not getting what motivates me, if I'm not getting the growth opportunities, if I'm not getting feedback that on how I can improve, then it especially feels like drudgery. I'm just going in and I'm just doing the same thing and I'm not getting that chance to be able to really advance and grow my career. And so for all of those people that you see, that's a top motivator for them. What a valuable thing that you can do. One, it takes that almost guilty feeling off of you of, I'm pushing work down, but they want it. They want those opportunities. And then just making sure that we're picking the right type of stuff to push down so that we are developing. And the other element that I would say is that I think we really have to encourage the teams to look at what needs to come off the plate. What are some of the initiatives that we have that just needs to come off the plate? And with that, I think what commonly can happen is the stuff that will come off the plate is anything related to personal development or professional development, because that feels soft and squishy and it's not driving dollars and it's not client facing maybe directly. And so let's just push that. But as we were just saying, those are the things that make us feel like I'm making progress in my career and why I want to go ahead and keep coming in and keep working at this. And so I just caution that as HR, if you're seeing managers punting all of those initiatives to kind of call a timeout and let's make sure we're talking about the psychological impact of that.
Yeah, those are the things that that maybe make people feel enriched and also like they're going to head out of this current paradigm into something else. And so when we punt that, and I agree, we hear it all the time because we're on the learning and development side with
Right.
about half of our business. And we hear people tell us all the time, hey, listen, I'm getting pressure from my boss not to come to this training. He or she wants me to work on this project instead. And it could easily be pushed. But unfortunately, that project is not pushed. Instead, the personal development is pushed, and the person feels sort of ripped off. And especially if they're in a firm where other leaders supported their people at the same level in getting that PD, that learning. And then that person feels like, wow, I am getting left behind here comparative to my, quote, internal competitors or compadres. So anyway, yeah, that's a super point. Something else I thought about while you were saying, take stuff off the plate. HR could definitely coach and guide anybody who comes to them with overwhelm, or anybody that you spot with overwhelm, or anybody that your managers feel is overwhelmed, and have them do something called keep, stop, start. It's really simple. What do I want to keep doing? What do I need to stop doing, and what would I like to start doing? And usually there are some stops we could do, and some of those might feel like stop and I'll move them somewhere else. If I read your stops, sometimes there's stop, maybe down the road we'll stop this for you, but right now we don't have another resource, but we know now that you don't like it. And as we build capacity and hire people, we'll hire someone in to do it for you. And so that's a possibility for a stop. Sometimes stop is, yeah, man, why are we doing this? And we all are going to stop it.
Or
And
I had no idea you were doing that.
Exactly. But one of those stops, Sam, is, and you and I talk about this a lot, and it's like one of those things that's often talked about, never really implemented. So I pray that this round of capacity shortage, people will finally do this. It's culling clients. So we can't cull clients if they're tax clients and they don't fit our practice right in the middle of extension season, A, because we're too busy to have those proactive conversations, B, because we might be doing their extension. And of course, you can't fire them mid-extension. That would be completely uncool, unless, of course, they're, doing something egregiously wrong. But right after the close of this fall busy season, all of our service line folks should be encouraged to say, were there any clients that you just thought, why are we doing their work? And not just because it's unfun or because it's unclean or because it's low dollars or something, but what is it that's causing that feeling that you don't think we should keep them? If it were a game show, you'd push the buzzer and they'd drop through the floor and they'd be gone. Who are those people? And we should this year, with very little scrutiny, go ahead and let those people go. If our people think they should go, they should go. We're trying to open up capacity. And when we open up capacity, we can do so much with that capacity. We don't have to worry about the loss of revenue. We'll make it up, won't we, Sam?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And, one of the ones too, because morale is so important, to your point, Jen, I think a lot of times the criteria that we do tend to use is the realization or the profitability and different elements like that. But if you've got staff that they beat on your staff, they don't speak nicely to your staff, things like that can really help the morale and help the commitment to the firm when we go ahead and let those clients go, because it's showing leadership's commitment to, we care about you, and it's not the client always comes first. It's, we care about the morale of this team and we respect you as a professional, and we're not going to work with people that are not going to also give you that respect. So I just wanted to chime that in, that is one of those criteria that we're looking at, if that wasn't already on the radar, because I couldn't agree more that what we can also remember, and if this empowers some people, is that firms can outgrow a client can outgrow a firm, and both happen, and it can feel awkward. It almost might feel like a divorce, if you will, of saying that goodbye, but there are times that it's appropriate to do that, and that's going to be a key piece to be able to create that capacity. What you can also find is that when we free that up, we can suddenly maybe add more services to existing clients that now we're actually making more money on the existing clients. We're getting greater profitability because we're not even having to acquire the client, and we're able to compound on the efforts that we're putting into that. But we can't add those additional services. I hear that all the time. I'd love to be doing more advisory. I'd love to be doing that. But how can I possibly add another service in there when we are struggling to get the existing work done? And so that's just another value point. It actually will bring more value to your clients if that helps in seeing it that way.
Yeah, and Samantha, those, you gave really good business reasons for why we should open up that capacity. I would say that we also need to make a bigger difference for our clients. They need those additional services, and
Yes.
they're going to go find a competitor who is going to supply them, because we haven't had time to talk about them. And that's the biggest bummer, is we're not being able to make the difference we want for our existing clients because we're so busy sort of chasing our tail with a volume of too much. Now, as HR professionals, you may be sitting here thinking, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. You're preaching to the choir, ladies. And then you're thinking, but I'm in HR. We're talent. We're not culling clients. And I would tell you that who you are is a group that people beg, plead, badger, and otherwise for please, please, please add people. And that's called a capacity addition or expansion strategy. So is culling clients. And I think if I'm part of the talent, scheduling and capacity and resource planning initiative, I'm going to push that initiative also. I'm going to say, hey, I'm out here using social media. I'm using every new fangled recruiting method I can use. I'm talking to offshores, outsourcers for us. I'm looking at fractional staffing and other temporary labor and non-CPAs. I'm doing those things now. You service line leaders, call some clients. And it's just like a tree. A tree needs the bottom branches cut off so that the nutrients can get up to those higher branches and leaves and the tree can grow. Your firm is the same way. And when we leave all the clients on as all these branches all the way down to the ground, it starts to make the tree a little bit sickly. And that's what we've done. We just hoard all the clients and keep them whether they fit or not. And that's just not a great strategy during a time when resources are low, demand is high, supply is low, pricing should be high, and so should our quality check on who we serve.
Definitely. I think that goes into as well the services, the listing of services. So to that same point, Jen, we're saying, hey, wait a minute, again, I'm HR, but at the spot where we're looking at, these are the clients that we've outgrown. Are there services that quite frankly we've outgrown, that don't bring the same value, or it's not in the trajectory of the vision that we have of where our practice is going, what we want to be able to do with clients, with the talent that we have? Because there are times that your talent is capable of so much more, but we're mired down in these low-level services or offshoots that, in the early stages of our practice, maybe we just kept saying yes, right? Because you're trying to build the practice. And now we've got this legacy work and projects out there that just don't make any sense as a service. And that's where, as a capacity challenge as well, is there a firm you partner with? Is there an organization that you partner with that, they can take some of that and you take work they don't do? With PPP, I knew of a firm that did that. They had the capacity in the engine to be able to just burn through all those PPP applications, but they weren't going to do all of the tax implication or the forecasting and so forth. So they said, well, we'll run that engine for you, and they come back to you for all this other stuff. So it's a good marriage of what your team's capacity and skill sets are. And that's something else to be thinking of as we look into the spring.
Right. Well, so one last thought on emergency measures. It doesn't look like we're going to get to proactive spring strategies much here. Although all of these things apply, we're just thinking of things you could do right now. And you can't fire anybody right now client-wise, but you can in October, mid-October to November 1st. So that's why we're talking about it right here. That is a spring strategy. But something else I just want to toss out here for right now is fun and gratitude. So, if people are stressed, if people are overwhelmed, we don't want to have a lot of scheduled long blocks of activities, but we should be thinking about what are some quick, fun things we could do? What are some, quick gratitude hits? Can we send people gift cards so they can, have their next cup of coffee on the firm, or a gift card so that they could go to the movies? Maybe, or stream a movie, I would think would be more likely because of the pandemic. Not everybody's back in a theater yet, but some, almost everybody's got Amazon or Apple, or it's, Netflix, certainly. I mean, something that you could apply to your activities, if you will, your fun, your outside activities. And then, as we think of autumn coming, are there any cool autumn things we could do? I don't know, send a caramel apple making kit to the house, or, I don't know what it would be, but something fun. And then think about gratitude and just make sure that we have small expressions of gratitude happening, and not just emails that say, good job, everyone, way to work. but personalized gratitude, and make sure your leaders are focused on gratitude and finding somebody doing something great every day and acknowledging it if possible, because that will help ease some of the tension of busy season, I think. What do you think, Samantha, as we wrap up?
I couldn't agree more. I mean, in what gratitude looks like for everybody is a little bit different, and that's for each manager to take note of. Because for some people, it is going to truly be just the words in the moment that it happened. For other people, they'll respond greatly to that gift card. I worked with a woman that I just sent her a gift of a shooting star because she just did something over and above. And she worked in a different office, and that was the most immediate thing I could do. And for her, she printed it and put it on her wall. Just the fact that somebody acknowledged it was above and beyond and took the moment to say thank you. And so it doesn't have to be huge, grandiose gestures. And sometimes as managers, we get so busy we just need that reminder to just pause and say that.
Yeah. So, anyway, we welcome your ideas, HR and talent leaders, as to what you are doing to ease the burden through this fall busy season, and also what sort of longer range capacity strategies and other HR talent management strategies you're deploying as you think to spring 2022. You can share them with us in social. We will happily engage with you about them in future HR huddles. Samantha, thank you so much for coming this afternoon, and thanks everybody for watching.
Thank you.